Okay, today we're going to make a color contrast drawing using both warm and cool colors. The reason why we are focusing on contrast is because contrast is the second principle of design. Remember, principles of design are kind of like how you can arrange the different elements of art to create a visual effect. When you create contrast, meaning showing two opposites, it's visually striking and would actually also create some sort of emphasis. So we're going to play around with creating contrast between the warm colors, which are red, yellow, and orange, versus the cool colors, which are greens, blues, and purples. Okay. Now, we might go even further to create even more contrast by using complementary colors next to each other. The complementary colors are essentially the colors that are the most opposite in the color wheel. So if you had your color wheel out, you can tell which colors are complementary colors because it's whatever is across, diagonally across, whatever is right across the color on the color wheel. So the complementary color of red is green. The complementary color of yellow is purple. And the complementary color of orange is blue. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. But for what we need in this project, you're going to need a blank piece of paper. You're going to need a black marker of some sort or felt tip pen. You're also going to need some sort of circle tracer. So you can use a cup, a bowl, or anything that is circular that can allow you to trace a nice circle. You're also going to need something to color it in. So you can either use markers or crayons or whatever you have to color in. Okay, the first step that we're going to do is we are going to create the rings or circles around our page. So whatever circle tracer you're going to use, you can find the center of your page, line it up so that it's the center, then take your black marker or black felt tip pen or Sharpie, whatever you have, and we're going to trace out that circle in the middle of our page. Now, if your circle is bigger or smaller than mine, it's okay. You're just going to use that circle as a guide. We're going to try to create more circles using this one as our initial guide, and we're going to try to keep our next circle lines about an inch apart. So first I'm going to do the ones on the inside. So I'm going to look to see what's about an inch from the top of that circle. It's about here. And I'm just going to draw a parallel line. Parallel line meaning going in the same direction at the same time as the line above to create a smaller circle in the center. Now, as you can tell, my circle's not perfect, and that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Now that I have that circle, I might have room to do another smaller circle. It's up to you. All right, now that we have our circles on the inside, you can start doing the same thing with circles going all the way towards the edge of our page. So about an inch away from the circle that we traced, you can go a little bit above and then try to create a parallel line to create a slightly larger circle. We would call these concentric circles, meaning circles within circles. Then, again, looking to see what's an inch away. It's okay if it slightly goes off the page, but you're going to create that next concentric circle. Okay, the next one about an inch away. It's okay, remember, if it goes off the page, let it go off the page. Don't try to scrunch your circles. There we are, going around. Again, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect circle. And even here, I can see there's a little space where I can just put the side of my one circle, but of course it's going off the page. Would probably come back here. Would probably come back over here, coming around. It's okay if it goes off the page, like that. In any area where it looks like you could still fit lines for the circles, you can add that. That looks pretty good. All right, so now we have our concentric circles starting from the center and going outward, totally filling the entire page with circles. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to trace out our hand. Now you can either do one hand or two, whatever you want. I'm going to do two this time. So I might lay one hand down on one side of my page like so. Use my black marker. Put the tip of my black marker the bottom of my page, keeping my black marker perfectly vertical so that my lines don't, or my fingers don't look too skinny. Okay, so try to keep your black marker perfectly vertical, meaning not slanted like this, perfectly up and down. Go slowly so that you don't make any hasty movements to make your hand look a little weird. Okay, so we traced out our hand, nice. I might trace out my other hand just peeping off over here. So again, you can put one or two hands, up to you. I'm gonna take the challenge and do two with this one to have more contrast in my page. I'll show more black or warm color and cool colors. So again, go slowly, especially if you're using the hand that you don't normally draw with or trace with. Go slowly. Try to keep that marker perfectly vertical, straight up and down. All right, cool. All right, so I have my concentric hands or concentric circles and my hands drawn. In order for me to really see those hand outlines, wherever it's the hand outlines, I'm just gonna thicken up my lines so that I can easily see where the space is that my hand is supposed to be. So go ahead, take your black marker. If you have a nice thick marker, you can use your thick marker to just outline a thicker line of the outline, the contour lines of your hands, okay? So that we really, really see the outline of your hand so that we don't get confused. Because since there's so many lines, it's gonna be hard for us to keep track of what is the space that's supposed to be our hands and which is the background negative space. Okay, so take your marker, just thicken up those lines. One hand, I'll do the same to the other one, just having it nice and thick, using my very squeaky Sharpie. Going around, especially if you had kind of like a shakier trace of your hands, you can use a thicker line to make the outline of your hand kind of nice and smooth looking. So even though I was a little shaky with my tracing, I can make it look nice and smooth with a thicker, bold line. Okay, so there we go. I have my hands all traced out. They're nice and thicker. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first start coloring in the warm colors of my hands in a pattern of red, orange, and yellow. Remember, red, orange, and yellows are our warm colors. So in the space that's within our hands, we're gonna color in each strip that we've created with our circles with red, orange, yellow, red, orange, yellow. So let's start off with the side. Again, you can use either crayons or markers, it's up to you. I'm gonna get out my first warm color marker, which is my red. I'm gonna first start off with this side of the hand. So I'm just gonna fill in that little space with red. The next color I'm gonna use, warm color I'm gonna use, is orange. So fill in that space quickly with my orange. The next warm color I'm gonna use is my yellow. And fill in the strip that's within the space of my hands with these warm colors. I'm not coloring outside my hands at all. I'm just coloring in the space in between those lines that's inside the outline of my hands. Okay, and I'm going to go in that pattern of red, orange, yellow, red, orange, yellow. So the next one that's gonna come in the pattern is red. Notice there was even a little space here that was inside the hand, so I'm filling that in. Any space within that strip that we created, that we drew, that's inside the outline of the hand, you're gonna color in, filling in as much white space as possible. Not coloring outside the outline of your hand. Okay, so I have that one filled in. Going on to my next one in the pattern, which would be orange. And look, even this area goes of where we're coloring in the orange, the strip also continues on into that next finger. So I'm gonna make sure I'm coloring in that strip of that concentric circle wherever it's inside my hand outline. Stopping wherever my hand outline stops. So I'm not going to color in that little piece right here, that little space right here, since it's outside my hand. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one in the pattern, which is yellow. Now look, this concentric circle goes around, and even though this space is outside my hand, once it gets back to my thumb, I'm going to use the same color that's in the ring. So this ring would be yellow, so once it goes back to my handprint, I'm going to fill in whatever's in that ring with the same color. In fact, I'm noticing this little tip of my finger. If we look to see what that concentric circle would be, whoop, it's part of the red ring. So even that little tip of my finger, I'm gonna use the same color of whatever that ring would be. That ring of color would be red. Okay, so I have this little space right here to fill in my last parts of my one hand. What would come next in the pattern for the next ring? It would be red. So even this little space here and here, I'm gonna fill in with that next color that the next ring would be, which is red. Okay, so hopefully you understand how to do it. I'm gonna go into warp speed to do my second hand using the same sort of method, going in that pattern of whatever that concentric circle would be, filling in the area that's within my handprint. So if I notice, this ring would be red, so that means this space within my hand would be red. The next one would be yellow, so I'm gonna fill that in. Yellow. Noticing nothing else hits that. The next one will be orange in my pattern. So looking to see whatever's in that ring within the handprint, you're gonna fill it in the same color. So this is orange, goes around, this is orange, goes around, this is orange, and so on. All right, I'll go into warp speed to finish this one off. Okay, now that I filled in my 2 hand prints with the pattern of the warm colors within each concentric circle within the hand prints, I'm now going to do the cool colors, which are greens, blues, and purples. And remember, cool colors kind of remind us of things that are cooler, like green grass or cool blue ocean, etc. But in order to maximize our contrast, I'm going to take the challenge and I'm going to use complementary colors. Okay, so the complementary colors are the opposite colors. And remember, we know which ones they are because they are directly across from each other on the color wheel. So let's first start it off. Okay, right here I have my red. So the complementary color of my red is green. So in that space that's next to the red in my negative space meaning the background, within that concentric circle strip, I'm going to fill it in with the complementary color of red. So that's green. I'm going to look to see, that strip would go even here, like that. Awesome. All right, my next one is orange. The complementary color of orange is blue. So in the negative space right next to the blue, or right next to the orange, I'm going to fill it in blue. Okay, the next space should be next to the yellow, and the complementary color of yellow is purple. So in that concentric circle space right next to the yellow, I'm going to do purple. It's complementary color. And look, it already goes over to the other side and hits the other yellow. So that concentric circle strip continues on, which means even this space I'm going to color in with the purple right next to the yellow. Okay, and I'm going to continue on filling in the negative space with whichever color is in that concentric circle strip. I'm going to fill it in with its complementary color. I'm going to go into warp speed to finish off filling in the negative space with my complementary color, cool colors in the negative space. Okay, I finished coloring in the negative space or the background space with my cool colors of greens, blues, and purples that are complementary colors to the positive space, warm colors of my hands. So that means any place that I had an orange, the concentric circle in the negative space would be blue. Any positive space that I had the yellow, the negative space concentric circle would be purple. And any positive space of my red hand, the negative space concentric circle would be green. Okay, so friends, I hope that you had fun doing this lesson, and I can't wait to see yours when it's done.